I wanted to make a couple of announcements. First of all, both Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding and Serious and Silliness Outcasts are now on Rumble. So now our platforms are YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcast, and Rumble. I told you guys last time I did not want to miss the boat on Rumble because Dave Portnoy is a partner in Rumble now, and I just have a feeling that he is going to. Nobody wants to. No, somebody like that doesn't want to be a partner in a company that's not competitive. So I was like, let me jump on, and not miss, the boat. So that's pretty exciting. So this will be the third video that will be on there. The Sergio Oliva Jr. one, the Anabolic Academy I did, and this one will be the third one on the bodybuilding on Rumble. So you could check us out there. All right, Muscle Talk with two legends once they retire. And the way Phil's going doesn't look like he's gonna. Phil Clayar and Dorian Haywood.
What's up, everybody?
And then me, the idiot with the microphone, John Livia. Yeah, that's it. I got like elite bodybuilders on, and then me. I don't know. So I don't know, whatever. I mean, look, I've interviewed Jay Cutler before, and does anybody give a shit that he was on Shark Tank?
Patty told me about it. I didn't even know about it. Patty told me about it, but we forgot to watch
it. I didn't watch it. What about you, Dorian? Did you check it out?
I saw it on Instagram, kind of the replay. Watch Network TV. Yeah, he had his two little dogs on there, and he was promoting butter that doesn't have unhealthy and toxic ingredients for dogs.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing. When I interviewed him, I don't know, a while back, year and a half ago, maybe, right? Yeah, about a year and a half ago, because I met him at the New York Pro in 2022, right? So the first thing I asked him about, I didn't ask him about bodybuilding. I know the guy is extremely wealthy and he's a really smart businessman. So the first half was I talked to him about business. And he basically said that anything that he puts his name on that's fitness or bodybuilding, he makes money because he's a brand. And he said once he goes out of that, it's a question mark. He said with the exception of real estate, once he tries to start a business or invest in something that isn't in fitness or bodybuilding, it's a crapshoot because now nobody knows who I am. So he had told me that he had a bullet casing company, and he had all the equipment and so on and so forth. And he wound up selling everything and shutting it down. It wasn't making a dime. So now he's got this dog peanut butter crap, right? And this is my opinion. He went on there. Okay, he went on there he wanted 50 grand and 10%, 50 grand and 10% ownership. That was what he was offering the guys on Shark Tank. He don't need $50,000. The guy's worth like 50 million. But I think he just did it for exposure so that people will know who he is about his peanut butter. And then his attitude is, well, if I get the 50 grand, great, right? I don't have to invest my own money. But if I don't, no big deal. I'm really doing it for the exposure. Yeah. Because nobody, I think there was like 3 or 4 people. I don't watch the show, but nobody offered him. Everybody turned him down except one guy. And one guy said, I'll give you 50 grand. But I want $1 for every jar of peanut butter you sell. And he turned it down. So he walked away with nothing, right? Now, people who would really, really need it would probably take it. But my attitude is, I don't think he needs it. I think he just wanted exposure. He started this peanut butter thing for dogs. It's not doing well. And he figured if I go on Shark Tank, maybe I'll get some exposure. I'll show my little cute dogs and people will start buying and so on and so forth. Because he needs 50 grand like I need a hole in the head. I mean, really. What do you guys think? That's my summation.
I think you're right, man. That's a great marketing strategy. Get out there, get some national exposure. It's basically free. Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. And I think it was awesome to turn him down. I think it kind of shows his integrity.
Yeah, well, I think the attitude is like, if he ever sold it, it's going to be difficult to sell because you still got to give that guy $1. The next person who buys it is going to have to, honor that contract of the The guy who has to give him $1 a bottle of. I don't know how much dog peanut butter is. I have no idea. I give my dogs regular fucking Skippy peanut butter. I don't know. Right. But I don't know. What do you think, Phil? Because I think he's just a smart business guy. And he knows he's going to go on Shark Tank because he's Jay Cutler. He'll get exposure, and maybe he'll save this business before he's got to sell it.
No, I think he went on there just for that reason, for exposure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Ronnie Coleman back in the day was on some big talk show, but that was way bigger than Shark Tank.
Jay
But
Leno.
yeah. So it's just exposure, man. You know, when you get a
Yeah.
bodybuilder that could get on some of these things, it's pretty cool. So I think that's really his main focus.
Other than that, I can give less than a shit. I did not watch it. I actually watched the RX Muscle video that Dave Palumbo did on it. But like everybody was talking about, I was like, I really don't care that he's on Shark Tank. I've never watched the episode. I'm not watching it. It's not about
I don't watch it
bodybuilding.
at all. So
I don't watch it all. I know Mark Cuban was the first guy to turn him down. He's like, no, I don't need any doggy peanut butter. Thanks. But it's just, I think he's just a sharp dude figuring, all right, if I get the 50 grand, great. If not, no, what the hell, you know? All right. So the big news of there's a couple of stories of the week, but let's just get, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Nick Walker and Antonio Burton said they are doing the New York Pro, and Nick Strength and Power did this whole thing. Antonio Burton, Nick Walker's going to be on the New York Pro, right? And he said that he doesn't think it's going to be a slam dunk for Nick Walker. And I messaged him underneath, and I was like, "Those aren't the only two doing the New York Pro."
no.
I said Dorian Haywood's doing it too, but
I think everybody's coming from the Arnold's going to do it because that's the next show right after the Arnold.
Then the Arnold is the Arnold UK, right? Let me see.
Ohio. I think the UK is after
a week after Ohio.
But either way, they're them guys that don't get into the Olympia or win. That's just how it does. They all filter. They're going to filter. The money went up in the New York Pro. I think it's going to be stacked with probably, honestly, 20-something competitors. I think it's going to be completely stacked.
But they raised it for what, like 10 grand, right?
They doubled everything.
Yeah, it's up to 20.
They did. Oh, here it is. Okay. March 1st and 2nd, Arnold Classic. 15th to 16th, Arnold Classic UK. Oh, no, it's not. April 5th to 7th, the Arnold Classic Brazil. April 13th, the Detroit Pro. And then May 18th, New York Pro. So you got a few shows.
So you got to look at it. The people all that's in shape, they're just going to run. I mean, they did it last year. They're just going to run it, but they're going to jump in there just for the fact it's 20 grand. You know what I mean? They're jumping in for the money.
I'm gonna. Last year, if you remember, there was we were complaining that we didn't have a lot of guys.
It was no big. I don't want to say it was no big names. I don't want to be disrespectful, but it wasn't no Olympia names type caliber that was in there.
No, and we were complaining that these guys were kind of like strategically picking a show that they could win and go right on to the Olympia, and then they made it the top 3 of the Mr. Olympias qualified at the end of the year. And I kind of think they did that because these guys aren't competing. They just wait to do the Arnold, and promoters aren't making as much money. And let's face it, people want to see these guys compete. So if it's Nick Walker, Tonio Burton, and Dorian, I'm already watching it. Well, I'm going to go, right? Because it's 20 minutes from my house. So I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what is Dorian? Let me know what you think. And what have you heard?
Well, you were there at the 2022 New York Pro.
Yeah.
One of the best of my life.
Yeah.
You got to see kind of how stacked up against the guys who got the top 5. I think Nick Walker won the show, and I sent you some pictures just this week.
That's right.
How I look next to.
Why don't we just look that up real quick?
I can take these guys.
Why don't we look that up real quick and show everybody what you had looked like. Let's see. Where are my messages? Dorian and come on. Where is it? There we go. Where's the picture you just sent me?
Oh,
Oh, it disappeared. Look at this. I think we have a ghost.
You don't mess with. Listen, Jim Mannion is
Yeah,
controlling
yeah.
the. Don't
What
mess
the
with Jim
hell,
Mannion and
man?
post pictures, man.
Unbelievable. What the hell are the pictures? I did not delete them for a reason because I wanted to show them. This is weird. All right.
Oh,
I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, you look at what did you take at that show? Fourth?
fourth.
And it was Nick, and then who came in second and third?
Justin Rodriguez, Hassan Mustafa. And
You could be. I think you could beat both of those guys right there.
I think I spanked Hassan in that show. I think Justin and Nick really look good. And I think between me, Justin, and Nick, you could have picked any of us for the win. But Nick was pro debut, and I think there's a lot of promise behind Nick. So I think that's why they picked him. So, I've been at this a while and I'm hungry. I think I'm in a place where they'll let me beat these guys. And as long as I bring a physique that can outshine these guys, which I will, they'll give me the nod. So
and
I got to say.
I also think that you're not going to fly under the radar anymore. People know who you are now. That usually happens a lot. Like Phil, you even talked about it. I think it was your first pro show. And you were like really pissed off because you didn't even make second call out or something like that. But nobody knew who you were.
That was in Tampa. That was my first pro show.
That happens. I don't know if that happens intentionally.
But me and Dorian did that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my first pro show.
Uh-huh.
And Nick is. I don't know how bad his injury is. It looks like it's healing well. The thing with Nick is just he's so massive, and he comes in shredded. But you got when you put him next to guys with better shape, that's when he's kind of exposed, right? You put him next to a Samson, or a Derek or a Hadi or Andrew Jack, and you go, oh, he's not the perfect bodybuilder. He has a little bit of, but your symmetry, your balance has to be incredible because it's got to overshadow his massive size and freaky conditioning, right? So I think he's gonna have I agree with Nick's strength of power. I think he's gonna have a run for his money. I think it's not a slam dunk for him, because let's face it, guys like Antonio and guys like Dorian have better shape. So we shall see. I don't think it's going to be so easy for him this time around.
Well, you got to look at too. You got Beef Stew in it. I mean, you're gonna have quite a few people in the show,
and these guys are improved. These all these guys are improved from last year. Beef,
yeah,
Antonio, Dorian.
Anybody at any given day can beat anybody, right? But I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at because I've been in this game, so I'm looking through the judges' eyes, their game plan. And not to say, if Nick was to win, that he's not deserving to win, but we know how it goes. Tony Burton is good, yes, but you also got to remember the placings he took in the Olympia.
That's true.
Nick Walker's last showing, he was third in the Olympia. You got to weigh. If I was doing the show, and I'm being blunt, honest, which I'm not going to do it because I know it's going to be sucking stacked. I'm not doing it. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah. I'm at a point in my life and with my age, I strategically pick shows. Before I used to jump in any tough show and whatever. But, it comes down to now being very wise, depending on if you want to get to the Olympia. That show is going to be very stacked. I highly do believe the favor is going to go in his direction because they want him in
the Olympia. 100%. They're talking about giving him a special invitation.
Right. They want him in. I want Dorian and these guys to come in on point and push him.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to be pushed. And he made a video, if you watch the Olympia online, he did say that he's not second-guessing anyone. He knows all the athletes are going to bring it. He's taking this show as if it's his first time doing the New York Pro, as in he's not a no. He's basically saying he's going in as if he was a nobody. So he wants to earn the win.
Right.
And he's confident. And Flex, Flex was on there as well. Which everybody should be confident competing. We're all pros. We're all going in there. We're hungry, and everybody wants to eat. You know what I mean? The side factor sometimes you just got to be prepared for is half the time these decisions are.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's like you're fighting now for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Right.
It is what it is. But like I told Patty, if he comes in and his calves and his hamstrings still have issues, he would have to come in probably with some serious issues going on with some flaws. But
yeah,
I think he's so pissed off from the Olympia. Yeah. He has something to prove. So I recommend anybody doing that show, bring your effing A game. Come in there completely. One thing about Nick is his condition.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I can't equal his condition. I could get shredded, but I can't get that type of shred.
No, but not too many people can, though.
Right.
It's not,
So you got to really go to your attributes. You know what I mean? Nick has a good side shot from the side chest. He has a decent back, and he's a killer in the most muscular. So Dorian and these guys are going to have to get him on the side tricep with a smaller type waist where they turn in and out angle him to show more structure and shape. But there's just certain parts that Nick is just going to win, probably 3 or 4 poses, which we have way more than that. You just got to just come in and out structure them and just bring your best. The best you could. You're trying to beat what you brought on stage last year. If you could do that, everybody has an opportunity.
Well, I'm completely confident Dorian can. But Dorian, why don't you tell us how you're going to do it? Like, you were just sick. We were talking a little bit beforehand, and you put the 15 pounds back on, right? Tell us about your training, the weight, what you think you're going to be on stage, what you're doing differently to get the win for the show.
Well, this is the lightest I've been in the off season in probably 6, 7, 8 years. I did get sick and my weight went way down, but the beauty of that is I lost a lot of body fat. This was probably my leanest off season that I've ever done. Then I got sick and I'm even leaner. So I'm probably within 10 pounds of stage weight right now.
Mm-hmm.
My coach has a saying, the lighter you are on the off season, the heavier you can be on stage. And I think that's going to ring true. As I prep, I'm going to use Dennis James' strategy. Within the first 4 or 5 weeks, I want to be ready in terms of conditioning, then be able to fill out from there and start to be able to fine tune the exact look. My training's coming back. My power's there. With Nick specifically, and no disrespect to Nick, he's a wonderful competitor and he's actually a friend of mine. I think he's got some disproportions in his aesthetics and his symmetry. I think his legs are kind of stumpy. I think his torso is kind of long and his waist is thick. His front double bi and his biceps are fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then again, so is mine.
The only pose that Nick is that I look at and I go, it's his front lat spread. I mean, I don't know what the problem is with his front lat spread, if it's just the way he's built or he doesn't know how to hit it right. I don't know, but it doesn't complement his physique for some reason. I don't know why. What do you guys think?
When he hits it, he brings his fists behind him like this,
right?
And he works way forward like this,
right?
Most guys are hitting it, so it looks different.
What do you think, Phil?
About his lat spread?
Yeah, that's the only shot I look at and I go, it's weak. Other than that, every shot he does is fucking ridiculous.
Well, I think it's because everything is just so big, his biceps, his shoulders. So when he tries to open up the lats, now from the back, his lats looks decent, but I think it's because everything is so round and huge that when he tries to open up that lat, I just don't think it spreads like it should. I think it's a little hidden. But once again, man, Nick is Nick, man. It's nothing I can say negative about the guy. So I just, like I said, everybody needs to come in on point. And Dorian's right. I see a lot of people. This is another thing too. I was listening to what's his name? I keep jacking his name up. Eugenii. What's his name, Patty? The judge, Olympia judge, Tariq,
Okay.
Tarek. He was saying because they were basically saying on this interview, with Nick was on there, but he basically Flex was saying it for everybody. It comes to a point, and this is what a lot of bodybuilders are making a mistake. Remember when everybody was chasing Ronnie Coleman? He's big. Jay Cutler was at his best when he wasn't chasing Ronnie Coleman. When he put on the size, the weights grew and everything else. And then, when you're at a certain size and you're big enough, there's no need to continue to put on size.
Agreed.
What you need to do is maintain what you have because the judges will tell you. And that's one thing they always told me, even though, and this was a couple of years ago. I mean, I got bigger since about 2 years ago, but uh, Steve Weinberger said it's when I was actually training with George Farrell. He told George, Phil don't need any more size because we try to play the big game coming into Boston, even though I still place well with that stiff lineup coming from Arnold. He said, Phil don't need size. Phil structurally is good. Phil's big enough. He needs to focus on his conditioning, and that is it. That's all we want to see. When we saw Phil, when he took second to Ian, that conditioning, that's what we liked. And it's crazy because once you get a certain look they fall in love with, and you don't have that look, they do judge you differently. They try to say they judge what's in front of them, but if you bring a certain look that wows them and you don't top that look, they do punish you for it.
Yeah,
So
it's human nature. Absolutely.
yeah. So at the end of the day, like Dorian don't need any more size.
Right.
I was looking at some of Dorian's pictures from previous years where he wasn't as big, but structurally he was more structurally pleasing. So the thing is, it's like, so I like the direction he's going this time. It's not size he needs because even when he did these shows, and the commentary, which I think it was Isabel, because she loves you, Dorian. Isabel was making a comment that Dorian structurally is great. He don't need any more size. He just have to just dial that in and nail it. You know what I mean? And that was last year in the shows that you did. So I think the way you guys are going about it now, keeping your weight down, give the illusion of being bigger on stage at a lighter weight. People don't understand that. So when I took second to Ian, I was only 242 pounds.
Really?
But I looked like I was 270. Even Ron thought I was 270, right?
Yeah.
So that's the illusion you have to give. The more you could stay in shape on the off season and then don't have to work as hard, be prepared for the show a good 3-4 weeks out, and just have to just detail things as you move on. I think that's the better game plan for Dorian because structurally, his posing, which I told him on the phone when we had a long conversation a while back, has improved dramatically. So his presentation is so much better than he was, a year ago. You know what I mean? So he has more class and more flair to his poses now. So that he nailed. Now he comes in tighter with better conditioning. There's no way he won't do very well at the New York Pro.
Agreed. Did you guys watch the Sergio Oliva Jr. video at all, the interview?
I was listening to Patty was watching it. I was listening to it. I thought it was kind of cool. It was a lot of jokes because you were running down the previous people that was on there. And listen, Sergio, I like him. He's a down to earth guy. He speaks his mind, and that's one thing he'll always do. He never not speaks his mind. You know what I mean? And I respect him for it. I mean, I really hope we see a better Sergio. That's another thing with Sergio too. He played the size game. I think that hurt him. I think Sergio before trying to play the size game because I competed against him also in Tampa, and he just has his dad, that flow, that physique. I think putting on more size on that really hurts him more than helps him. But yeah, man, I hope he does well this year.
Well, he won the New York Pro, and I thought that show he looked phenomenal. I think that was
his hometown. That's his hometown.
The New York Pro? I thought Chicago was.
Yeah, he did. He said when he did the New York Pro several years ago,
he did one in
his backyard. That's what he said. But I don't know. He lives so many different places. What backyard is not his?
Yeah, I know. He's like he lives everywhere. But yeah, and I mean, you're right. He opened up about Dubai. Everybody I know that watched it loved the interview. He opened up completely about Dubai, and something. We really take advantage of the freedoms we have in this country. We think that it's normal. We think that it's we kind of are a little entitled for the freedoms we have in this country, right? But when you go outside the country, oof, it ain't the same, man. It ain't the same. And they really bent them over in Dubai. They really hammered them. They were looking to pin this on them, but it didn't work, thank God. But the corruption that he discussed was really unbelievable. But not that the bad things don't go by here, but as a human being, your civil rights and your rights in the United States is sometimes it's next to none compared to some of these other countries, right? And we take advantage of it. And I'm just glad that we live here. And somebody asked me, "Oh, do you not want to go to Dubai because of what happened with Sergio?" I don't want to go to Dubai because I don't want to be on the plane for 16 hours. That's why I don't want to go to Dubai.
Yeah.
Fuck that
I hear Dubai. Listen, living there is not something I want to do, but I do hear it is a beautiful.
I hear the same thing. I hear that.
But listen, everywhere you go is different. I mean, being in Romania, honestly, being up there, it's very different. You don't really see no overweight people. Everybody's fit. Everybody walks. You know what I mean? I was shocked. I was like, man, there's only black people here. That's from the bodybuilding show. There's no black people here. That's what I told Patty. I said, the only bodybuilders that's here is black. Everybody else is don't live it. But they don't welcome, though, people to just come there and move there. I mean, of course, they made it rough for me to go there, but I respect it, though, especially with what's going on in our country now with the craziness and the illegals. I mean, at a certain point, yes, we're somewhat blessed, but I think as time goes on, if the direction don't change,
I agree.
It's going to turn into the same BS, man.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get on to
get on to Dorian. We were talking about Dorian.
We're gonna get on to visas because we got to talk about Andrew Jack, and now Nexilla is out. But before we do, I still want to continue talking to Dorian. Who's your trainer? Who are you working with, Dorian?
Dave Kalek. We've been working together over 8 years now.
Oh, okay. So besides the weight and the fact that you're leaner than you've ever been before, and you want to be ready 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, have you been working on whatever you think is your weaknesses physically, and have you improved those?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead, get into that.
I think for the longest time, the judges were telling me to bring up my back. I've been training it twice a week for the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I've even been doing some of the newbie training where you do the electrode training with Heather Grace, who's IFBB pro here at Armbrust. And between everything I've been doing, my back, probably my best body part now.
Really?
So, yeah. And I've always had these crazy glutes and hamstrings. If I can just get those things so freaking lean, good luck to anybody competing against me. Good luck. Yeah. So really, I think more than anything, what I need to focus on is just coming in peel.
I agree.
Phil, thank you. Wonderful compliments. And it really is a pleasure knowing that some of my peers are seeing the differences and the changes that I've done. So thank you, Phil. And, like Phil says, I got the size. I don't need to get any bigger. I need to bring in the aesthetics, and I need to bring in conditioning that is as good, if not better, than anybody in the show. And if that's the scenario, I can win any show that I get in.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think, and between the conditioning, I think people know who you are now. You start to have name recognition, because let's face it, it's human nature, right? Like all the judges are going to be looking for Nick Walker, right? They're like, what's Nick Antonio Burton? They're going to be looking for him, and they're going to be judging him. But then there are going to be times where you do this bodybuilder, and you kind of like, nobody knows who he is, and the judges aren't going to be looking as hard because he doesn't have this great name recognition, and it happens all the time. But I think now, with the placings that you've had in the last few years, and you're becoming more popular and whatnot, I think they're going to take a good look at you. So my opinion is same thing as Phil. If you're coming conditioned, and now I think they're going to give you a solid look, and they're going to probably compare you to those top guys like Nick and like Antonio and like Beef Stew. I think you got a really good shot, man. I think you got a really, really good shot.
Thank you.
No problem, man. And I'm definitely going to be there because I was there. Oh, right. I went last year because Nate Spear was in it. And at the time we were pretty good friends. So I went to watch him. Who else was in the show? No, it was Nate that was in the show. Oh, Carlos was supposed to be in it. Carlos Thomas
Oh
Jr.
yeah, he has stomach
Yeah.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's another guy, man. Like you're just hoping to God that guy comes in peeled. You're like, if this guy comes in
Oh
field
yeah.
with
The amount
anything,
of muscle, the amount of
come
muscle.
on.
I saw him at the Olympia. We had a good conversation. His dad's real cool.
This guy,
And
that's great.
he said to me, he said, "Man, Phil, I look up to you." I said, "Look up to me." He said, "No, man, to see what you do at your age and just being with the best of the best, and now sitting at the Olympia, it was kind of it's crazy because I'm a fan of his, but just to listen to him speak to me, that's what keeps me going in this sport because it's like the younger bodybuilders respect that. Now, are they going to be able to do what I do at this age when they're not? You know what I
Right.
mean? So at the end of the day, you got to respect it. You know what I mean? I do bring the best I could bring at my age, and I'm still at it, sticking with the elites in the world, regardless of who they are. So I told him, I said, you keep pushing. You nail that conditioning with the amount of muscle that you have on. Listen, bodybuilding got a great future with some of these young cats, man.
Oh,
As long as they keep
100%.
themselves healthy and just stick around the right positive mind people. That's what it's all about. Being around your surroundings have to be legit. Like Dorian's been with his coach for a very long time, and sometimes that loyalty is just never there. You lose a show, they want to go to another coach.
Oh, all the time.
You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, though, you can't always blame your coach. He does his job.
Right.
Are you really doing your job 100% in your mind, like following everything structured to the T? So you can't never fault your coach 100%. Unless he
Right.
hit you up with some insulin and shit went wrong, then that's a whole different
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, loyalty is the key. And when I met Blue, I told Patty I'm retiring with Blue. You know what I mean? I'm tired of just going from different coaches. Each coach got to get to know your body, so you really start all
Exactly.
over.
Right.
So yeah, Dorian's coach. I mean, I've met Dorian's coach is a blessing. He was at the Olympia. We had like a heart conversation. You know what I mean? And we were having goosebumps because I was down because I just didn't like how they handled the prejudging. And his
Mm-hmm.
coach was just talking to me and Patty and just enlightened me. He said, it doesn't even matter. He said, Phil, you're here.
Right.
There's a lot of pros that would never ever see this pro stage, and you saw it at 49 years old.
That's right.
So he just
100%.
shed so much light to the situation. So, and even me up and coming with Dorian throughout the years. You know what I mean? I remember when Dorian first competed, he had a head full of hair. When we first met, he did. It was at
Yeah.
Tampa Pro. And I met him ever since then, and we competed against each other quite a few times. And I've watched his journey. I was at the New York Pro, me and Patty, physically there that year. He took fourth, and we were cheering the shit out for him. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
yelling, we're pretty much in the front row, and we're yelling for him because he brought, a pretty damn good package. You know what I'm saying? So my big thing for him that each time I watch and I listen to the commentating and I listen to what everybody says, he nails his conditioning. He's going to be a problem for a lot of people if he nails the condition.
Agreed. 100%. Speaking of trainers, you had mentioned, if you don't want to talk about this, Phil, you don't have to. You can just say, I don't want to talk about it. George Farah, I hear good things and I hear bad things about him. Loyalty specifically with George, I hear very negative things about him.
Loyalty as in what?
Well, I remember that I spoke to Oscar Arden,
Mm-hmm.
and this was 2014. And he had told me about he had lost Kai Green to George Farah, and he was the last one to find out. And then I had Fred Smalls on,
Mm-hmm.
and he was training Fred and somebody else at the same show who was a bigger name. I forgot who it was. And George was giving him, the other guy, more attention than Fred. And I hear things like this about him, but then again, I hear also that he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I only can speak from my experience with George. George is an awesome dude. I mean, let me tell you something. The shows I did with him, he was there. There was one time, a lot of people don't know that George battled a lot of his own personal issues. And there was one point where he really couldn't make it. And he didn't want Patty to even tell me because, I was just at a good place and I was counting on him being there.
Mm-hmm.
But he sucked it up and he still showed up for me. And actually it was me and Max Charles in that show. at the same time, Max is a big name. He catered to us equally. I've never had or seen an
All
issue
right, well,
of
that's
that.
good.
So I think sometimes as bodybuilders, though, we pay attention to little stupid little details because you can have a couple big names and they're trying to see, if you're 1 second more with this person, we get jealous. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I think that's what more so it is. They used to have rumors that George was stealing people's clients. George doesn't do that. When I
Yeah.
met George, the reason why I work with George is because Phil Viz at the time was just not where I would like him to be pertaining to the success we had just had, if it makes sense.
Mhm.
After coming off of that great year, you know what I mean? I needed strategically game plans and get ready to attack things right away, not sit back and lay back. Once I'm healthy, blood work come in, I want to go. Um, that Phil just wasn't doing that. So when I was at the Olympia for HD, I was eating lunch, me and Patty, and George was so having sitting, he got sat right next to us, and we're just talking about life in general. And then, he told me how great I did. And we just went, he said, if I ever needed help, he never said, come work with me, never said that. He said,
Mhm.
Phil, I've watched you grow as you went on in this sport. If you ever need any help, I'm there for you.
Mhm.
So when I really saw that me and Phil, it just wasn't going in a direction. Don't get me wrong. Phil Viz at that time, the way he handled me leaving, I don't respect it. I think he could have been a better human being about it.
Phil's an
But at
odd
that,
dude. Let's face it.
he
He's
yeah,
a
well
weird. He's a
he's
weird guy.
odd. He
I
is,
have
he is. But you know, you can make your life much tougher even with athletes because then you won't start getting any more good athletes and so on and
Right.
so forth. He could have handled it better. If you leave a coach, y'all could leave respectfully, and
Mhm.
still be friends. But either
Absolutely.
there. But
What did you say, Dorian? You jumped in and you said something. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
So Phil, I've competed against him so many times on the national stage. You
Okay.
said good guy.
really?
I don't want to disrupt what Phil's saying.
No, go ahead. I didn't know that you competed against him.
Oh, many times. And when I first got on the national scene, Phil was doing much better than I was. Then here I come, I'm just climbing the ranks, and I'm consistently getting better. And I remember one year we were backstage at USA's, and I think I was talking to Rashid, and Phil tells me, he says, Dorian, just shut up, man. You're weird and nobody likes you.
What?
Wow.
Talk about gaslighting. I mean, seriously.
Like, thanks, bro.
All right. I don't know the guy very well. I met him once. And the whole time I'm talking to him, he's looking at the floor. Okay. He just came off like an odd guy. And talk about gaslighting. I mean, let's face it. He's the odd one. I'm sure he's a great coach. I have no idea. Okay. And this is just my personal opinion. But what had happened was I was going to Signature and I was probably working nights. So I was there during the day and he was there and he was training a friend of mine to do Team Universe. Team Universe? Yeah, I believe Team Universe. Yeah. And so I went up to him and I was like, you're training Dominic and Team Universe. And he just looked at the floor and he wouldn't look me in the eye. And he's like, yeah, he should do good. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right. And then that was it. He was just looking at the floor. Now, at the time, I wasn't competing anymore. It was like a year. It was like 2015. It was still rolling around in my head. All I kept thinking about was if I wanted a coach, right? Because I did the year before I did the Brooklyn Grand Prix. And if I wanted a coach, you'd be the last person I'd call now because you can't even look me in the face and have a conversation.
No.
Like he's a did you ever see him on a podcast? This is him on a podcast. I'm not lying. This is what he does. He's this close. And he's talking. And you gotta tell him to back up. And then he goes like this. Like, no. Phil, back up. And then when he talks, he gets this close again. It's like, holy shit. But this, look, there are guys that are oddballs and they're geniuses, but then as a person, he's a strange dude. And to say to somebody else that you're odd and nobody likes you, dude.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't use that. I don't think he has a lot of fans. But.
You just described yourself, you stupid bastard. Anyway, all right. So Andrew Jack is out of the New York Pro. And now Nick Zillard's out of the New York Pro. And he said it was visa issues and readiness issues. If you look at his picks and you look at guys like Sampson and James Hollingshead, he looked like he was behind. So I really would like to know how much is really a visa and how much is he was behind, to be honest with you. Because where is he from? Brazil? Is he from Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah. Okay, Dorian.
I thought he was living in Europe.
Oh, is he? I have no idea.
No, he's in Brazil. He's in Brazil right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just some Brazil bodybuilders, which a lot of them in the Olympia had issues coming up here. I don't know if it's a certain part of Brazil. I don't know.
Even Europe, like that guy that Milos trains.
Yeah,
B Holtz or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And Karina Gonclaves, she won the Spain show. She couldn't get over here, and that's the story for so many of those people. Just being able to get a visa to get over here and compete. Even Hadi a couple of years ago couldn't get over here.
Yeah, these guys should just come through the southern border. They just let you in.
Yeah,
I think they're kind of, some of them are a little bit too big. I don't think they're going to get over the barbed wire.
And they'll give you a free room and board too on top.
You know what I mean? They might sink and drown.
Yeah, right. But what the hell was I going to say? I was going to say something else I forgot about, but whatever. Yeah, but if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you were the governor of California. Don't you have some political clout where you could say, hey, look, these guys just want to come here to compete. They want to compete in my show. Can we help them? I mean, you were the governor. And let's face it, if the guy was born here, he would have ran for president, but no, wouldn't do that.
I think, listen, the big reason why Hadi Choopan could come here is because he's like an employee of Hani for Evagen.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Because our gym, we had a kid here that was sponsored. It cost about $5,000 to sponsor him to stay here for a year or two for work. So that's how Hani's getting up here. So these coaches would literally have to sponsor them. I don't know, coach, that's going to be one. It may be more money to even bring these guys up as a sponsor, but it has to be like a work visa. So basically, you're fully responsible for them. Because I think Hadi Choopan stays at Hani's house when he comes here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a business type thing, with the fact that, he's been in several Olympias. So it depends, but it comes down to the sponsorship. And I don't know I'm pretty sure Milos would do it for him. Milos probably would do anything to get this guy up here because of just watching what he's going through. But I think it's just way too much into it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger can't get nobody.
Obviously not. You would think he would have a little bit of clout.
But I don't think he really wants to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people got to look at that, though. Even though the money aspect, I mean, come on. Is Arnold really is willing to – because he's going to – connection still equals money. He's still going to have to –
Oh, yeah. You got to grease the monkey a little bit.
Yeah,
No, it's just so these guys are athletes and they want to come here to compete and they can't get a visa. Meanwhile, there are immigrants pouring in that we don't know what the hell is going. I live in Jersey, right, and I work in New York. There's stories of illegal immigrants. They're sleeping on the street. They got nowhere to go, and they also pee in a cup and they leave it like in the street, like they leave it like on a doorstep or something like that. And it's just like it's just getting worse and worse. But these guys they're also looking to lower the standards for government employees so they can get some of the migrants work. But right, and then you're an athlete, you're a competitive athlete, and you want to compete in your sport, and it's the most difficult. Look, if this was baseball or football or basketball or even tennis, I have a hard time thinking anybody's going to have a problem getting a visa. But for some reason in bodybuilding that nobody gives a shit about, and it's a niche sport.
Yeah, bodybuilding compared to those sports, that's a whole different, different thing. There's ways as these NBA, NFL, baseball to get them up here for work. But you got to remember, I don't think That's what I don't think. I truly believe we're never going to be at that place in society with bodybuilding to
Mm,
where people think, okay, it's a good sport. It's not. Especially when we see previous people dying. I
mm,
just back in the day when bodybuilding was pay per view for the Olympia. I remember those days. It was on ESPN. I think times have changed so much into the
mm.
negative, even though the sport is growing. I don't think it's ever going to get that mainstream. So if it did, I don't think these bodybuilders will be having this problem, but it's not.
That's an excellent point, right, Dorian? Because it is known that bodybuilders use anabolic steroids, and it's probably not a good look for the American government to get involved and help these guys. Even though everybody knows other sports use it too, but with bodybuilding, it's completely open and everybody knows it, right? But you're never gonna convince me that a guy who's 300 pounds and could take your head off in a 40-yard dash, and you're not going to convince me that he's natural, whatever. But that's probably one of the major reasons, right? That they'd rather not get involved in a sport has that negative connotation to it. What do you think, Dorian, with this whole visa crap?
Well, you got the visa stuff, but you're talking about mainstream, to television and exposure to bodybuilding.
Mm.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, once a big sponsor like Budweiser or Walmart or Chevrolet, once they tie themselves to bodybuilding, now they think they're tied to all the negative stigma associated with the potential for premature death for open drug use.
Right.
So, and I don't think it's such a big deal for adults to see this, but for somebody like that to be an influence on children, I think that's kind of where they draw the line, and that's where they won't sponsor bodybuilding the way that they support football or baseball or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's actually a very good point. They don't want to expose it to young kids and young athletes. But at the same time, if you're 14 years old and you decide that you think you're a girl, hey,
boom! You just nailed it right on the head.
We'll give you hormones. No problem.
100% right.
You got it. No problem. We stuff you full of testosterone. Don't worry about it. We got it. We got it. Matter of fact, if you don't like that, we got this chainsaw. Cut you the right off. Not a problem. Unbelievable. All right, gentlemen. Listen, great show tonight, man. And again, I appreciate both of you guys. You know what I was thinking? Maybe we could do this after the season's over. Maybe the three of us could get together and do a workout, like whether we go to Denver or you guys come here or I go to Florida, whatever. And we could do
I ain't coming to Jersey. I'm just like, that's not happening. Okay. Listen, I'm from Jersey, but with what I hear going on in Jersey, I ain't coming to Jersey. So if we go to Denver or come to Florida, but Jersey ain't happening.
That would be pretty cool. And then I get exposed as to what not.
I think that'd be cool too if we have somebody like recording that.
Absolutely. That's what I mean.
That's a good idea.
Well, Dorian, who does your stuff? Like who?
Alec Nugent. He filmed me today with my training partner Trent. Then I got another group called Physique Visuals. I'm more than set up with what we need for media.
That would be cool. We got. Let's see if we can work that out because it can't be. All right, let's say after the season's over because both of you guys are going.
Better.
Both of you guys are going to the Olympia this year, so I don't want to interrupt that. So after that, that'd be definitely a good idea. I've been wanting to do something like that for a while. I've never been able to put it together, but if we could all do, if he's got the connects with the audio and video people, and all we got to do is get to Denver. What the hell? I never been to Denver. What's there to do besides?
Me either. I've never been there either. I know it's probably cold up there right now.
They have
It's beautiful, like 64 degrees and sun.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's wonderful. But Denver is so interesting. You'll have days that are 0 degrees, 3 days in a row, snow. Next day is 60 degrees. All the snow. It's so dry here. The snow doesn't melt like it does in Jersey, and you don't have those big piles of gray shit that hang out all winter. It's straight up in the atmosphere and it's gone. Right. It's so cool.
All right, we got to go check it out. We'll get that going, but like I said, after you guys do the Olympia this year. All right, gentlemen, once again, thank you. Much love, much respect. Thank you for a great show. Always a pleasure. And have a great night, guys.
You too, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dorian. Nice having you. I'll see you guys next week, man.